What's up, guys? Welcome to G Whiskey. My name is Jeff. This is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and if you stick around to the end, I'll be giving it a score as well. That sounds interesting? Hit subscribe down below. With that out of the way, let's jump into our review. Today, we're looking at the Laphroaig Cairdeas 2022 release. Stick around. So it's a Laphroaig today. I've got the Cairdeas release. This one has been making the rounds on YouTube lately, and I didn't want to be left out. I have a deep-seated need to fit in, and not just fit in. I need to stay relevant. You gotta stay relevant on YouTube. Give the people what they want. Anyway, the Cairdeas is an annual release. It comes out on Laphroaig Day, which happens during the Feis Ile festival, so it's kind of their Feis Ile bottling, although they don't officially call it that. Feis Ile, of course, big celebration on Islay. It's marked with drinks and tours, and of course, you gotta have those special releases. Special releases that are always very fairly priced and widely available. Right, guys? No? No, wrong on both counts. Very wrong. Very horribly wrong. Oh, yeah, okay. Now, this one is a little bit different from other recent Cairdeas bottlings in the sense that it's not some kind of wine cask finish or sherry finish or whatever. This one is entirely matured in bourbon casks, more specifically casks from Maker's Mark. And it's also matured in Warehouse 1, which looks like this. It's the famous building on the Laphroaig estate, right by the shore. It's got the iconic branding on the exterior. So that's pretty cool. It might contribute to some more like salinity and oceaniness. It's a word. Don't look it up. And of course, that had a lot of Laphroaig fans very excited. Bourbon casks are often considered a more honest form of maturation because they don't overwhelm the spirit like some wine casks, sherry casks, port, that kind of thing. So we have a bourbon matured whiskey right by the sea. That sounds exactly like the kind of Laphroaig that we want. So again, people got really excited. Reception to this one has been pretty good so far. Pretty good feedback. Reviewers and drinkers seem to like it. I don't know that it's like totally blowing anyone away, but the consensus seems to be that, yes, it delivers on the premise of being a more honest and straightforward Laphroaig. Now, like the 10-year-old cask strength, this one isn't officially available in Taiwan, or it is, but I don't think it's meant to be, so it's very overpriced when you do find it. The only reason I have a bottle is because I had a viewer here in Taiwan that was ordering some Laphroaigs in from the UK, and he offered to help me out, so thank you very much, Alan. But yeah, I'm excited for this one. This is my first Cairdeas offering, so let's see how it goes. Let's jump into our review, see what the whiskey's all about. And in the meantime, if you could kindly leave a like down below, that'd be greatly appreciated. Our ABV here is a healthy 52.2%. Kind of a weird thing they do with a lot of, or some of the Cairdeas offerings. They match up the last two numbers of the ABV to the year of the release. So 52.2, 2022. A bit of a novelty there. I guess it's kind of interesting. Actually, I do find that a little bit weird. Like, I find it's a weird constraint to impose on your whiskey. Like, it's not that exciting of a novelty. Just make the whiskey you want to make, but what do I know? Anyway, based on the ABV, we'll assume that it's non-chill filtered, and just from looking at the whiskey in the glass, I'll also assume that it's natural color. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on both. Maybe Laphroaig could tell us. No, that's crazy. So, nice bottle. I do like this one. It's very simple and clean. And it's funny, I don't normally like Laphroaig bottles, but as soon as you put that pop of color across the middle of the label, I start to like it. It looks good. Doesn't look great, but it looks good. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 for presentation. Nothing about color or chill filtration. Obviously, it does talk a little bit about the maturation process. It talks about Warehouse 1. It talks about the Maker's Mark barrels. And it does give us some basic flavor descriptions. So for Laphroaig, honestly, that's as good as it gets. The info's not bad for Laphroaig. I did add some water. Let's try our nose. Lemon drops. There's vanilla frosting. We do have a nice salinity in here that counterbalances the sweetness. Yeah, so like fishnets, seaweed, mint or spearmint chewing tobacco. We have some seared pineapple. This is straightforward. It's not super complex, but it is nice. Probably the most noticeable thing here is that this is less medicinal and peep forward than other offerings. Now our palate. Nice texture. It's mouth coating. Things get a little bit more familiar here. Like, this couldn't be anything else but Laphroaig. And it is the sort of like honest, straightforward Laphroaig that we were promised. I do like the wood in here. It's also very bourbony with big vanillas, big oak. I get a lot of citrus in here. I get stuff like lemons and oranges and tangerines and even limes, orange candy, just all the citruses. There's some tarmac. And listen, this is still very like peaty and medicinal, but it's toned down by Laphroaig standards. And now our finish. Finish is salt, like a lot of salt. Orange juice, gummy bears, big vanilla. Again, that pineapple note. There's barrel char, there's seaweed, there's some burnt meat. Medium to long finish. All right, so this is an interesting one, but it's interesting without being surprising. Like, it's not super quirky or unique. It's not even that special, but it is good. It's got all the Laphroaig character you want, but it's just a bit of a different take or a different twist on Laphroaig. What it is an intense Laphroaig with a bit of that extreme medicinal peatiness turned down. And actually, it is nice to see them go in that direction. For me, I always want peat to be a part of the experience, but I don't need it to be the entirety of the experience. That's why I do love my Islay whiskeys. I do love my peated whiskeys, but they're probably less than 10% of the whiskeys that I own. It does take a mood for me. Anyway, regardless, yeah, I do get along with this Laphroaig. I think it's nice. It's nice to see some of that peatiness and some of that medicinaliness turned down. I need a fucking dictionary. And don't worry, if you like Laphroaig because it's a beast of a whiskey, this is not tame Laphroaig. It's just a slightly tweaked version with some of the more medicinal notes, only slightly turned down. It's still very much there. It's still very much a part of this whiskey. But I think having that just allows some room for some of the other elements in the whiskey to shine. I gotta say, I do like the oak in this. It's not too drying. It's not too simple. We do get a lot of the bourbon influence here. We get a lot of like the oak and the vanilla. There's some nice charred elements in here. There's some nice citrus notes in here with like oranges and lemons and tangerines. Nice flavors in this. And it's nice to have those flavors be a little bit more tangible than they are in some other Laphroaigs. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is my first Cairdeas. I've never had one before. As I said, very overpriced in Taiwan. So I can't compare this to any other Cairdeas releases, but I've heard that some of them are fantastic, others not so much. So my point of reference for this whiskey would fall back to the basics. It would fall back to stuff like a regular 10-year-old or the quarter cask. Now, of course, this is better than both of those, and it damn well better be at near triple the price. But my point is, if you know those bottles, if you're familiar with the basic Laphroaigs, it's not a huge leap to get from those to this. Of course, we do have more complexity here. In terms of intensity, I would say this is probably about on par with the quarter cask, despite this one having the higher ABV, but it just feels less monopolized by peat. And again, don't worry, all of the Laphroaiginess is still there. It's still very Laphroaig. So I like it. My score here is going to be 86, which of course is a good score. I was almost compelled to go a little bit higher just because it's kind of an expensive bottle. It's hard to find here, but at the end of the day, 86 is where I stand. For reference, I gave the quarter cask an 85. I do think that's a better value buy. Of course, this one does offer up more, and it does have that sort of honest Laphroaig character that you want, but it doesn't blow me away. It is nice, though. To be fair, Laphroaig has never been a favorite brand of mine, but for those of you out there who love Laphroaig, and I know there's a lot of you, I can't imagine you guys disliking this one. So if you want a very straightforward Laphroaig with all of the intensity and maybe a little bit of a toned down medicinal side, check this one out. Yeah, so I'm not too sure about value on this one. It is pretty expensive, especially by Taiwanese standards. It's no age stated. It's certainly good, but it doesn't taste that premium. And if I'm being honest, if you asked me to pay the money again, I'd probably say no. Yeah, I can think of other things that I would buy for that money. I do think it's a little bit high for what it is, in my opinion. But again, keep in mind, this is coming from someone who isn't traditionally a Laphroaig fan. And if you are, I'm sure a lot of you out there will find this worth the money. I can't say it's not a good whiskey. Alright, that'll be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to help support the channel, please consider becoming a patron. Otherwise, you can like, comment, and subscribe. That is always appreciated. And of course, I do want to hear from you. Have you tried the 2022 Cairdeas? How would you compare it to other years? What are your thoughts on value? Finally, down below in the comments, you can let me know what you want to see me review next, and I'll keep it in mind for my upcoming videos. Bye, guys.